This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, WrestleMania 41 Night 1 is now over. I was going to record last night, but I want to be in tip-top shape before I get on here because I was tired, like many of us, after a 4-hour-plus event. It's basically like watching 2.5 movies straight, and I thought, at the time, when WrestleMania concluded, that it was an underwhelming event. I had come to the conclusion at after 11 o'clock Eastern Time that not only was I tired, but also that this was an event that was really, really underwhelming. I even went to the point where I figured, hey, this is a good case for why WrestleMania should be one night, not two. And we know that won't happen. This is certainly a format that they are not going to get rid of. The two-night format is here to stay, and in fact, they're expanding it, as we see with SummerSlam this year, with the two-night event. And it was full of celebrities and advertising all over the mat, the sacred space of the mat, which I still just can't stand. I understand they're in the business of making money, but every time you look at the mat, every time you look at your screen, you can't look at anything at all in the product and not see some kind of sponsor. And it does take away a little bit from the event. Because it's constantly in your face all the time. It's not so focused on in-ring. It's the Prime, or it's whoever's spent thousands and thousands of dollars to get their logo on the mat of WrestleMania. It's all over the place, and I'm not a fan, but I understand it from a business perspective. However, this event, after sleeping on it, I've appreciated it, and I do appreciate it a little bit more than I did when I went to bed. And that's not to say I thought it was a great night one. In fact, I still think it was average. It was okay. Now, that's not to say the main event wasn't spectacular. That's not to say there weren't a match or two in between the start of the show and the main event that weren't really good. In fact, I, unlike a lot of others, really liked the Tiffany Stratton Charlotte match. Many of you guys, including prominent reviewers and streamers, really didn't like it. Thought it was clunky. And it was garbage. To be honest with you, I thought Charlotte over-delivered. I was concerned about her motivations going into this, that she did seem just very underwhelmed and just bothered by Tiffany. And so, honestly, that match over-delivered from my perspective. The United States Championship match, Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, that one I think really brought the crowd back to life. It's the first match that I thought the crowd really, you could hear the crowd. And I heard from some people that went to the event. They messaged me and they said, because I had been concerned that, is this just a quiet crowd? Is it the acoustics? Or is it that WWE hasn't given them anything to be excited about? And I had some people tell me, no, it's the acoustics of the building. And they've gone to NFL games there and it's kind of the same way. So while you have 60,000 people yelling, screaming, it gets lost into the ether, the way that the building is structured. And so that's what I've been told, and I'm going to go with that. But the crowd did come alive and overcame the acoustic issue when the LA Knight and Jacob Fatu match happened, which I thought was very good, and it felt more WrestleMania-esque. Because to be honest, for the first hour of the show, I felt like I wasn't watching WrestleMania. It didn't feel like WrestleMania. The build to WrestleMania, as many of us have said, didn't feel like WrestleMania. And it felt very much just kind of like any other PLE. And for the first couple of matches, and we'll dive into it in a minute, it felt very much like, even dare I say, a SmackDown or Raw. No big returns, no big swerves, and not every match needs to have it. But the stories going into them were okay. They didn't really feel like they were peaking at the right time, although Jay and Gunther did do a nice job the last couple weeks. I think everybody knew the outcome, But the finish of Jay and Gunther, which we'll get into, was atrocious, an atrocious decision, despite the fact that they are trying to get Jay over into a legitimate champion. The crowd seemed to be behind him. I was a little bit skeptical that the crowd wasn't going to be, that they decided to back Gunther, and that Jey Uso was going to have an issue with the crowd supporting him throughout the match, and that didn't seem to be the case. And I'm happy for Jay. We'll get into that, and we'll get into the tag team title match, and that could have been a house show match, and it look, War Raiders and New Day. No disrespect to them, they're not exactly the hottest thing going on in WWE right now. And especially with the fact that there was no Big E return, nothing. It was very disappointing in that respect. Almost no reaction for the War Raiders and New Day. Yeah, they're a heel team, but they have cooled off immensely since turning on Big E, which you thought, okay, they're building to something here, and it'll blow off at WrestleMania, and WrestleMania came and went, and no Big E. So Big E apparently was just being used as a pawn to get them over, with no actual payoff of Big E getting involved or screwing them over in any way. Even if Big E, here's the thing, even if Big E was not medically cleared to compete, he could have still screwed them over in a non-wrestling role. He didn't have to do anything physical to screw them over. Just come out and distract them. Stand on the apron. Act like you might do something, and then don't, and just cause a distraction. War Raiders retain. Now, Big E still may be slotted for down the line, but it was very disappointing for him not to appear at WrestleMania. If he was cleared in any capacity, WrestleMania is the spot to do it. Have him come out and just lay waste to them. But he didn't. And that was, to me, the one thing that would have saved this segment from being otherwise looked at as kind of any other part of any other show. This was not a very interesting match. It was all about Big E, despite the fact that the title changed hands. The titles changed to the New Day, which is about as interesting as, a cloudy day. I'm sorry. So let's get into it, though, as we get on. But first I want to thank everybody. I did pop in the Discord chat a little bit at the beginning of the show, and many people thought I was a bot. So I did pop in the Discord chat on our Patreon. I'm going to try to do a little bit more of that tonight. I don't know if I'll be doing a live show. I say I'll do it, and then I get to 11 o'clock, and I don't want to be fog-headed going into the show. So I might be doing it on Monday, but either way, I will be doing it as soon as I can get a review out. I did an instant reaction video yesterday, right after the show. Give you guys a little bit of something of my opinion. So check that out. Also, if you want to join our Patreon, good time to do it. If you want everything ad-free. You've already heard ad throughout the show. Well, get rid of those. Patreon.com/WWE Podcast. You can also follow me on Twitter. I do a lot of updates there, on X rather. Search for me on X as the WWE Podcast. I'm right there. All right. Jey Uso and Gunther. Now we had, Jelly Roll, who is apparently just required by law to be at every WWE event. I don't know why they have an obsession with Jelly Roll. I'm not quite getting it, but fine. He's there. And the event starts. So this match was pretty much what you'd expect it to be. Kickouts of finishes. I think there were 3 or 4 finisher kickouts in that match. Hard work. I mean, this is never a referendum on their efforts. This is almost never a referendum on anybody's efforts. How often do you come in here and have me say, even though the match sucked or that the match was underwhelming, that it was a lack of effort? Sometimes it just isn't there that night. But this match was fine. I don't think it was even their best of their series of matches. Now, Gunther went in 3-0 against Jay, but I don't think this was their best match that they have ever had. Certainly not. I think their previous one was actually better, and that was on Raw, I believe. Despite the fact there's kickouts of finishes, and now you have both men using each other's finishes, which, again, is fine. I didn't expect that to happen. Gunther did not really look as dominant as I had hoped he would. This was all about Jay. We knew where this was going. Most of us did predict Jay to win, and he did. And that's not really the problem here, as many of us have pointed out. Jay winning right now has about, I think, 30-something thousand dislikes as of this recording for WWE's clip that they put about Jay winning. And so a lot of dislikes. A lot of dislikes for this win here. I think a lot of that win, though, those dislikes, though, are not because Jay won, but how he won, which was just it was just bad. There's no other way to put it. Why would you have a guy like Gunther who comes in, his whole deal is he's all business, he's dominant, he doesn't cheat to win, but he's unlikable, so people hate him, and he loses like that. He loses with a sleeper hold. Yes, it was Gunther's move that he turned on him, fine. But not only did Gunther tap out, but he tapped out faster than Vince McMahon against Bret Hart at WrestleMania 22. If you remember that, Bret Hart put the sharpshooter. I mean, before Bret even fully applied the sharpshooter, Vince McMahon was tapping out. I mean, it was that quick. And why would you have Gunther do that? Maybe it could have been, and I've heard people say, and I missed it, apparently, the referee telling Gunther, tap, 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 or there was something about the referee telling Gunther to tap right now. Maybe it was a time issue. Maybe it was a, hey, we got to wrap this up. But you couldn't have waited an extra 20 seconds, maybe have Gunther pass out and win the match that way. That would have been a little bit more acceptable. But for Gunther, this is if I was to find a way, and someone said, hey, you need to find a way to damage a character by the end of this match. You need to find a way to damage Gunther. This is the perfect way to do it. This is how you do it, is by having him tap and tap quickly to a sleeper hold. What? So I really didn't like, while we all kind of knew the outcome and accepted it, and most people don't hate it, I think, per se, that Jay's champion, they hate the way that he won it. And let's be honest, if they had taken even just half of Jey Uso's entrance and put it at the end of the match, you would have had, I think, a little bit more of an acceptable finish. Or Gunther, fine, okay, even if he taps out, which I still would never do, you have him fight through it a little bit. And instead, he taps, within seconds. So that was a bad finish to a match that was fine, and to a program that was fine. Overall, still feeling kind of sour about this program as a whole now that it's wrapped up. And sure, Gunther may get his rematch, but he's not going to win, because how often does a major title change hands at WrestleMania only to have that person drop it at WrestleMania Backlash? Almost never. So we can pencil that match in as a rematch, but we all know, I think, the outcome before it happens. And to speak on Jey Uso's entrance, what are they thinking? Was Jey Uso in the bathroom? I mean, where was Jay? Was he in the bathroom and he's getting notifications on his phone? He's just sitting there, scrolling through TikTok, and he's getting texts from Gorilla, and they're like, "Hey, Jay, you're up, bro." And, is he in the bathroom on the other side of the stadium? What happened? Like what? And then he takes forever to walk down. I understand it's a long. Everyone's entrance is going to be expanded by like 4x because of how long they have to walk from the stage to the ring. There was no need for Jay's entrance to be that long. It sucked up an unnecessary amount of time. I did not like that. I don't think anybody did. And I said to myself, I tweeted this out too. I said, look, if Jay's entrance is this long, they need to set aside about 40 minutes for Roman Reigns' entrance. That is already long, even when there's no, extended ramp to the ring. So that was not a good tone to set right off the bat. But again, you got your finisher kickouts. And again, the effort was there. I'm not trying to disparage either man. And then if you saw the Jey Uso post press conference, he was drunker than a skunk. I mean, the dude was in his yeet mode promo voice, but in a drunk yeet mode promo voice. It was a bad look. Look, I have no interest. You want to drink, you drink, man, but it was just sloppy. I don't even know what he's saying. You have to really have subtitles. He should just walk around with somebody who has subtitles under. Like, if we could somehow superimpose subtitles under what he says, I need them half the time because I don't know what he's saying. I know he's capable of speaking normally like a human being, but when he gets in his Yeet promo voice and then is drunk on top of it, it's a little challenging to understand what the hell are you saying. So I know he's excited and he deserves it. Look, Jey Uso does not have a ton of time left in front of him. People forget, like, most of his career he was a tag team guy, and then he was in the Bloodline for several years, and now he's a singles guy, finally making it to the top. And I congratulate him. He's deserving of this. But again, the fans don't seem super excited when you look at the dislikes on YouTube. But yeah, sure, that's not the only metric, but I guess it's those damn internet fans, huh, Triple H? Those imaginary fans that aren't real life who are clicking that button. Must be all those bots, huh? All right, so that's what I think. I mean, if I was to give a star rating, give it, like, as far as this match goes, like a 2.25 stars out of 5, maybe even a 2 out of 5, just because the finish really just was the worst finish you could imagine for Gunther. It was damaging to Gunther. That's the issue. All right. So the next match here that we have is the World Tag Team Championship match. Well, as I said, the War Raiders and New Day, I don't have a whole lot to add to what I've already said about this match. It was a bit, I mean, it was standard. It was your standard matchup. No Big E, no interference, no big returns, no nothing. And again, not every match needs to have that. Not every match needs to be unpredictable. But when a match is on WrestleMania and you are watching it and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, this could easily just be a middle of the show SmackDown match. That's not good. WrestleMania, I will continue to say, if it's truly the Super Bowl of wrestling, should be the best of the best storylines, get the placement on the show. It's not a everyone gets a jersey show. They've turned it into that, and I'm sure the guys and gals love that because they get a spot, and I'm happy for them, and I'd probably feel that way too if I were in their shoes. But from a fan's perspective, this is a strong case for why WrestleMania should be one night and not everybody should get a jersey. All right? Now, it'll never go back. I am accepting of that. And it is cool to have 2 nights of WrestleMania where it's the whole weekend. But, a 4-hour show that's felt like 3/4 of it could have been put on a regular SmackDown or Raw. Not a good feeling. And again, it's not because of effort. It's just who's deserving. That's it. All right. But anyway, the match ended with the New Day hitting the Daylight finisher and Woods pinning Ivar, which Ivar, man, I mean, he almost killed himself. Can we talk about that? Ivar literally almost unalived himself when he did that moonsault. It was scary, man. And look, I appreciate that he can do those things. I know that he does things that cruiserweights can do, and that's extremely impressive. But it's the old adage, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay? Sometimes if you're a big dude, you should work like a big dude. And it's not just because it makes the match feel different, but it's just safety. Inherently, because of physics, you're going to put yourself and your opponent at a higher risk because you're a bigger guy. But, all right, let's move on. Jade Cargill and Naomi. Another match that I have to be honest, I did not have high expectations for in this match, but I did say it was Jade's by far biggest match of her entire career. Naomi, in some respect, too, because she has, for the first time, gone heel. And she's really reinvented herself. And it was a good spot for both women to show what they can do and make a case for their runs to continue. And the story was pretty good. I have to give the build for this pretty good, despite the fact that Jade had limited interviews and we still don't know who she is, really. Other than just she was a victim of a blindside assault. So I guess that was really how they were going to garner sympathy here. And I was a little worried too for Jade that she wasn't going to get a big reaction. And from what I heard, she didn't get really boos, but people still, it just was par for the course. It's like a mild acceptance. It's not rejection. She didn't get dueling chants. she just got kind of the, oh, cool, it's Jade. We're still on board with you, but time's ticking, And she still got that reaction. But this match, overall, before I get into the finish and specific spots here, I thought it was better than it probably better than I expected it to be. All right, this match did what it needed to do. It was a little clunky. There was some spots where you could tell, like, very obviously Jade waited a little bit too long for Naomi to hit her spot, or it was clear that they had rehearsed it a little bit and the timing of Jade was a little off, and she doesn't work like the rest of the girls. So the pacing is a little different as well. And that's not a bad thing. I don't expect her to work at the rate of, anyone else in the division. Right. But Naomi had to slow herself down to meet Jade, and that's fine. You don't need everybody looking and feeling the same. In the ring, differentiation is good. And so Jade, it's like she was being extra careful, though. I feel like she could ramp it up, but her style is one that, because she's a muscular woman, much more than any of the other women, she does have to slow down a little bit and not work at a crazy high spot pace because, number one, it's a little unsafe, but number two, it doesn't really fit how she looks. So it felt like at times she was thinking too much and thinking about her spots next instead of just working. And look, she's still green, in terms of, especially in a singles role, but this match delivered, and she is a powerhouse of a woman. My God. The spot that she picked Naomi out of the air on a suplex, that was incredibly impressive. That's the good thing here. The fans, as we all talk about all the time, and WWE loves to say, it's about moments. I think all the clunkiness of this match that happened, fans will put that aside for the moments that Jade really showed what she can do. And that's a great thing for her. So I think coming out of this, most people will say it was good enough. That's what I think what this was. And Jade getting the victory was the right move. She needs a kind of a staple victory. Naomi will be just fine. That power bomb that she did at the end was awesome. Only to have her hit her finish, jaded, and gets the victory. That was great. 9 minutes and 20 seconds. I kind of figured it'd be about 10 minutes. And that's what they gave her. So good. Breaking news. Cardi B is going to be hosting SummerSlam, guys. It's a big deal here. Or at least we're supposed to believe. Again, I'll leave my personal opinions aside. This doesn't get me excited in the least, but fine. So anyway, we get LA Knight and Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. Here's where the fans woke up. I would have liked this match to go a little bit longer. I thought it would go 15. It went 10 minutes and 40 seconds. And the match was really good. Exceeded my expectations. And the right person won. The BFT that was done in the middle of the air wasn't exactly perfect, but it was as good as you could expect someone to do without retakes. That was a hell of a spot. Fans really popped on that one. And, again, kickouts of finishes happen here. And that's fine. It's WrestleMania for at least these two. I don't believe has anyone ever kicked out of the BFT? I'm sure Roman did. But BFT seems to be a pretty protected finish that, no one really talks about it in these days where finishes are not protected at all. It's, a pretty protected finish. So having Jacob Fatu kick out of one, especially one that was caught midair, was a big deal. And so the finish, though, was Fatu suplexing Knight. He hits a moonsault, a double moonsault, and got the 3 count. No weirdness, no sloppy finish, no outside interference, just a straight up Fatu victory, which is exactly what this should be. Now, myself and others had suspected that Solo could be involved here. He didn't. Solo Sikoa was not involved. So they're clearly just still building that on the back end, and that's fine. It's going to happen. Maybe Backlash or the PLE after that, or maybe they'll wait till SummerSlam. This could be a slow burn for Fatu and Solo Sikoa. We're all just hoping, I think, that it's not Solo Sikoa who answers the call tonight for Randy Orton. I don't think anyone wants to see that. That would be a snooze fest. I think Nick Aldis would be a guy that actually people would want to see over Solo. Solo has really faded into the background here after his massive victories. It really all fell downhill after the Survivor Series War Games match. You could point to that as really where things just went off a cliff. Remember, he disappeared for a while, then he comes back, but Jacob Fatu is now the star. And then there's tension with Jacob Fatu and Solo, and that's kind of where we're at now. It's been a massive downslide over the last 5 months for Jacob Fatu. Or I'm sorry, for Solo. So I thought there was a chance he could come out here, but either way, Jacob Fatu is probably going to win this, and he did. It was a nice win for Fatu. There were some chance for Fatu, and I kind of figured that as well with the support he had from the crowd, even as a heel over the last couple of months. And that's exactly what we got. It wasn't a 50-50. It was more of an 80-20, I would say, in support of LA Knight, because people still love Knight. And him coming out in the Lambo was fun, although everyone seemed to get a... How many car entrances did we get? I mean, we got Charlotte, we got Knight. Was there somebody else, or am I just overstating? But yeah, so LA Knight comes out in the Lambo, and the crowd still really loves him. And rightfully so. I don't know where LA Knight goes from here. Probably a rematch. But maybe LA Knight gets pushed into the title picture in a serious way. We'll have to wait and see. All right. But again, really nice victory here for Fatu. We had, at the end, Haku appear at ringside and congratulated Fatu, so that was really cool. All right. We then had Rey Fenix versus El Grande Americano. They did mention how there was a change where he's from, of Gulf of America. Now he's the Gulf of Mexico, and the reason that they gave per Pat McAfee on his show was that, well, he's from Gulf of Mexico because he was born when it was still the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, that's still that's not how things work, right? You like, people can change the names of states, change the name of countries. You just can. You can change names of things, but that doesn't mean that because you were born in a place where it was had a previous name, that name sticks with where you're born. No, because the name of the place changes. It doesn't stay static because of when you were born, right? That I know they're trying. To me, it's just a cowardice that they decided to do that. I think that he would have got a lot more. It's not, well, I shouldn't say the success depends on the naming of where he was from, but I'm glad they at least acknowledged it. I appreciate that. But I think that him being from the Gulf of America would just add to his character and the heat for his character because of the renaming of that body of water. So, I mean, people can say whatever they want. I mean, it is the Gulf of America. Like, that's the name. It doesn't change where it is. It doesn't change what it is. It just changes the name that we arbitrarily give it. So, I mean, but officially on the books, it is the Gulf of America, love or hate it. So it's inaccurate. The Gulf of Mexico doesn't exist because it's not a thing. It did exist, right? It did, but it doesn't anymore. Well, I love or hate it. I mean, not getting into politics, just facts. All right, but this match was too short. I mean, by the time they really started to heat up here, they cut it short. And this is where the entrances and the propaganda and I don't know if propaganda is the right word, but the constant celebrity shots and the video packages and the backstage, like, they could take that time, even just a little bit of it, a fraction of it, and add it to the matches. And I think we would have gotten a little more time, at least 3, 4, 5 minutes for this match. This was 7 minutes and 55 seconds. That's just unacceptable. I know Grande got the victory, as I think he probably should have, despite the fact that Rey Fenix has debuted. And also, given the fact that they just acquired AAA, the Luchador promotion, they probably should have given this match a little more time, given the fact that you had the AAA owners ringside. It was, it's a bit of an issue here where, it's like, oh, we're really happy to have you guys. But by the way, we're going to give you the shortest match of the night. in terms of luchador wrestling. Or I know Grande, people, it is what it is with El Grande. He is a faux luchador, we all know. But Rey Fenix, legit, right? I guess we can also understand how El Grande Americano was brought into WWE. The mystery's been solved, right? He came from AAA. So now people are asking, how did he get to WWE? Well, there's your answer. I think we finally know why. The mystery's been solved as to how we acquired El Grande Americano. All right. So, yeah, we have Stephen Amell. I don't care. I'm just looking at the notes here. Shawn Michaels came out, and he, just listed the attendance as 61,000. Pretty good pop for HBK. DX music played. He did a second thing that he's been doing for 25 years. So, then we get Tiffany and Charlotte for the Women's Championship. And I will say the entrance for Tiffany was pretty cool. The Charlotte Flair entrance is exactly what you always think, right? I don't know if it was a Rolls Royce or whatever she came out in. But Tiffany's Barbie doll box thing, really cool. I don't know. Did anyone actually think that the other two on the sides of her were possibly her? I know they were trying to fool you as to what one, and it was pretty good quality, but you could still tell like which one's which. But still, nonetheless, a really fun entrance for her. And this match, boy, physical, a little clunky at times. Tiffany, I think, has a chipped tooth, and so she'll get that repaired. A bump on her head, a bruise on her head, so she hit it at some point. And yeah, again, the clunkiness where Charlotte went for the swinging neck breaker, and she couldn't quite hit it on Tiffany, which looked like Tiffany's fault. But yeah, the clunkiness was there. But this seemed like it was just a gritty wrestling match, and that's what I loved about this. It went 19 minutes, but it didn't feel like 19 minutes. It felt like 12. And Tiffany beats Charlotte to retain. Now, the finish had Stratton going for the prettiest moonsault, but Flair put her knees up. That was just an excellent spot. She got the near fall. Flair sold her knee as Tiffany did attack the knee. That was a great part of the match here. But Flair did the same to attack Tiffany's knee. Flair hit a natural selection from the top rope again. If they are not exactly the cleanest natural selection. Natural selection is a difficult move to make look really good. Because like Charlotte's flipping over and the person taking the move has to hit just right. It's a difficult move to make look clean. Especially also when you're coming off of a second rope or a top rope. Even more difficult. So it wasn't the cleanest look, but fine. Just don't ever put that in slow-mo. You ever put that in slow-mo, I mean, you shake your head. But in real time, it was fine. And then Flair grabbed Stratton's head, trash-talked her. Flair went for her finish again, the figure eight, but Stratton avoided it. And Stratton used an Alabama slam to send Flair into the corner, and then hit a rolling senton and hit the prettiest moonsault ever for the victory. And I really thought that this was right up there with Fatu and Knight. Better in some ways, too. Didn't feel as rushed like a lot of the matches did. There's also another reason why we shouldn't have two nights or everybody on the card, because then you have too many matches, and then if you run out of time, everybody's match has to suffer with time being taken away. So fewer matches usually is better. But this match, again, gritty is the perfect word for this. Tiffany was beaten up. Charlotte looked really good. Despite all the criticism that I've given her that we don't want to see her, don't need to see her, it's still not going to change the fans' opinion. But I think even the people that really, really, really hate Charlotte Flair and don't ever want to see her again can't deny that she is just awesome in the ring. She just is. She understands psychology, pacing, helping get her opponent over. She gets it. She has put all the pieces together. And I can say that while still also saying that if Charlotte Flair left tomorrow and we put her in the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't be chanting one more match. But she's damn good. She looked great. I know that I said the other week that she looked kind of sickly with how thin she was, but last night, maybe it was the outfit she was wearing that particular night, because I think she looked really good. Still on the thin side, but not to the point of my concern for her. But boy, is she good. Oof, she is damn good. So the victory here, Charlotte Flair losing actually surprised a lot of people, and wonder if that was a last-second decision or if all along that they thought that Flair or new Flair was going to lose and Tiffany was going to retain, but it was the right decision. And Cole saying that, you heard her here first, this may be a bold prediction, but that Tiffany has the potential to, or the likelihood to have a Charlotte Flair-esque career. I think that's very possible. Very possible. But now we get the Hall of Fame ceremony before the main event with Triple H, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Michelle McCool, Typhoon, and the family of the late John Earthquake Tenta. They were introduced on stage. That was fun. I will say, seeing Austin out there on stage unceremoniously, just without his music, it felt wrong. I don't want Austin out there. Like, it's kind of like, oh, we all know he's here. Is he going to come out tomorrow night? And then you see him last night. He just walks out kind of calmly with a suit. It felt like sacrilegious. I didn't want, like, that's the last way I want to see Austin, is kind of calmly walking out with a suit just to, be presented an award for a match that he had. It just, I don't know, especially with what could happen tonight. And I hope still happens tonight. But it's kind of like taking the air out of the room when you see a guy like he's already there and it's like, oh, well, there you are, instead of that big moment when, crash and he comes out. Anyway, so him and Bret Hart absolutely deserving of their award for the match they had at WrestleMania 13. And Triple H doing his water thing, fine. It's the moment that all of those men deserve. All right. So Seth comes out. Cult of Personality plays live for CM Punk. I'm never a fan. I don't care who it is, whether it's Triple H's Motorhead, Cult of Personality here, Rhea Ripley's last year, which I don't like her music as it is. But anyway, no matter who it is, whatever band they bring in, they think is like cool to have the music. It never sounds right. It never sounds like how you want it to sound, how we all remember their entrance music sounding. So I'm not a fan of the bands coming out and performing the entrance music live. I understand, it's cool. To me, it's I just want the original. Like, just give me the recorded version. It always 100% of the time sounds better. But nonetheless, I know why they do it. I don't like it. So this match, my God, 33 minutes, but deserving of every minute. This match had everything. Yes, it had finisher kickouts, and yeah, as always, too many. But the synchronicity of these three men, the timing, the spear into a pedigree by Rollins, when all three men went down towards the end, with all three men, that the GTS was hit on Rollins, a spear was hit on Punk, but then a stomp was hit on Reigns, and all three men went down. Just. It was awesome. I didn't think it would be this good. So this match to me saved the night. Yes, Knight and Fatu was a shining star. Yes, for me, Charlotte and Tiffany, I'd like to even see a rematch, was a shining light on the night. But this one was like a pillar to hold up the whole night. If this main event had been a flop, to me, this would be a highly negative review of night one. The main event saved. It was a saving grace of night one. Again, not the only one, but this is far and above all of the other matches. And it was a pillar of the night. So awesome match here. I mean, the GTS reversals, everybody was clean. Everybody was on point. The timing, the pacing, everybody had their moment where you thought they could win, and then they go for a finish. That's a false finish. That's a false finish for the false finish. It was awesome. And then the finish, the real finish, of course, had Punk. And when everybody went down, you had Paul Heyman, who you knew was, you don't know where his loyalties lie, and that was the whole story. He comes out, or he was there already, and he had the chair. And Reigns wanted it, but he handed it to Punk. And once he handed it to Punk, Heyman gets in the ring. Low blows Punk. And you're thinking, okay, I guess he's back with Roman. And I guess he could turn on Roman, but it doesn't look like it. He could have just been turning on Punk. And then he hands the chair to Roman, who's laughing at this point. And just as Roman was about to strike Seth Rollins, Roman gets a low blow, kind of a weird one, but gets one nonetheless, from Paul Heyman. And that's when you realize, okay, they're going with the most interesting potential outcome here. And I know that there's so many people, even the big streamers, who are just so shocked by this moment, or pretending to be for likes or views. We all knew there was only 3 outcomes here. Only 3. Outside of the Brock Lesnar one, which I threw out as a wild potential, but one that is not likely. So there were really only 3. And that led to the most interesting of the 3. You either knew Paul Heyman was going to turn on Punk, turn on Reigns, or turn on both and join Seth. We all knew that. So the idea that this was totally out of nowhere and no one saw this coming is just wrong. I mean, we all knew there was only 3 possibilities here, but they went with the one that was the most interesting, and they did it. The execution was just perfect. That's where we really should appreciate it here, is not that they did something that no one expected. I mean, if you pay attention to wrestling, you knew this was a possibility, but the execution of this was just perfect. And the fact that this is still about the services of 3 grown men fighting for the services of a 60-year-old man is quite wild. I mean, it's just logically, it's kind of crazy, but one that I understand. I mean, it's Paul Heyman, who is the greatest of all time when it comes to managers. And if he were able to ever get in the ring and have a match, and he would have been a legend in the business, in-ring performer-wise. But he ends up low-blowing both guys, turns on Seth and Reigns, so we have a heel Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins gets a victory after a chair shot to Roman, stomp, 1, 2, 3, and Rollins is now a heel with Paul Heyman. And we haven't seen this pairing before, so it's new. Some people who, for some reason, didn't see this coming are now surprised and are like, oh my God. And you wonder what this is going to look like. But Seth Rollins needed a change. He's been a babyface now for, 4 years? I mean, it's been a while. Maybe we never have to hear his song again. I want his entrance music to just change, please. I never need to hear the woes again. So hopefully that changes. But Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins are a team that leads you to believe, okay, Punk and Reigns, where does that leave them? Do they team up? You would think that in some way they do. But if they do, and they're going after to get their hands on Heyman, Rollins is going to have somebody who joins Seth Rollins. I know there's even talk of tonight Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman getting involved in the main event. So there's a big faction of sorts of John Cena, Rollins, and Paul Heyman, maybe Drew McIntyre. I mean, there's wild things going on, but it's not impossible that tonight we see Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins appear in the main event tonight and do something to screw over Cody Rhodes. So I think that's an absolute possibility, one that is going to be just discussed for a long time. Overall, a really an excellent main event that would have otherwise been kind of a low, a sinking feeling coming out of WrestleMania. One that is absolutely going to be looked at, I think, as one of the greatest main events in recent memory, just in terms of execution, not in terms of unpredictability, to be honest with you. I know many people are somehow shocked by this, but execution was just 10 out of 10. The main event here, I mean, I'd give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. If I was to give it a star rating, maybe 4 3/4 in terms of execution. Just awesome. Just incredible. So a great way to end the show, despite the fact that it wasn't the most unpredictable night. It did have the most interesting of the 3 possibilities with Paul Heyman joining Seth. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does this new heel Seth look like? So many great questions come out of it. But again, if you're going to main event this and have Paul Heyman do what he did, and you're going to have the most interesting outcome, this deserved to be the main event. I know that Charlotte and Tiffany could have still main evented, but you knew that if they main evented this with no title on the line, nothing really other than the services of a geriatric man, you had to have big consequences in this match. It couldn't just be, Punk wins and then Roman is back with Paul Heyman and then off we go. You had to have something big. And tonight, I think you're going to have very similar outcome with the main event of Cody and with John Cena. Is it bad that I'm mostly looking forward to Austin stunning The Rock? Like, that is the thing, the cornerstone that I'm looking forward to tonight. And if it doesn't happen, I am going to go into a deep, dark place in my life. So just because I've built it up for years now of this happening. Last year, we got screwed out of it because of money. And this year, I hope it's not the case because Austin's there. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. There's no more, well, I had a project. I had this I had a, something else that a pre-commitment or whatever. No. We saw you last night. You're here. And you live in Vegas. So there is absolutely no reason that when The Rock comes out to try to screw Cody, that Austin is the neutralizer. Ultimately, Cody's going to lose. But I think that, to me, is the number one thing I'm looking forward to for tonight. And I think tonight, actually, as a whole, I'm not previewing it again, but I think as a whole, it'll be a better night than it was last night. From just in terms of match to match. There's bigger matches, bigger stars, and of course, the main event that we're all looking forward to that I think is going to be wild. So that'll do it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, you can go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. I'll be doing, at the very minimum, a instant reaction for night 2. Posting it on Patreon if you want to become a patron. It's a place to go and do it. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. I'll be also tweeting throughout the show. I'll try to pop in the Discord chat. And if warranted, and if I have enough energy, I'll do a post-show immediately following. But I don't want to promise it because I want to be not tired. I feel like I'm much sharper when I'm not tired. So, all right, that'll do it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.